Hey, friend, welcome back to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about something sneaky that is adding to your stress, and you might not even realize it. I am talking about multitasking, or as I like to call it, the fast track to mental overload. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast. This podcast is for busy moms who want to feel their best and create a healthier home without stress or confusion. If you're ready for simple, practical tips to boost your energy, nourish your family, and make wellness a natural part of your everyday life, then you're in the right place. From easy wellness hacks to natural living tips, my goal is to help you to take small, manageable steps that lead to real, sustainable results. Because taking care of yourself shouldn't feel like just another chore. Let's dig in. Multitasking feels really helpful until it doesn't. And listen, I get it. This is something I struggle with a lot, and we've all been there. You're stirring the pasta, you're answering a text, unloading the dishwasher, while your kid is also talking to you about frogs or some other random thing. And somehow you're also thinking about that email that you forgot to send or the text that you forgot to respond to. We do this and we think it's really efficient. We think it's going to help us to manage the stress of having so much to do and just the busyness of life. But the truth is that multitasking is actually creating more stress. It's not solving the problem of stress in our life. And for the longest time, I really did believe that multitasking was the only way to survive motherhood and just general busyness. Like, how else are we going to get anything done with kids, laundry, meals, work, and all of the things that just keep coming at us? I used to pride myself on juggling it all, making dinner while answering text, while talking to my spouse, cleaning up toys mid-conversation, mentally writing emails while I'm also listening to a podcast or doing some kind of training. But let me tell you, it always ended the same way. I'd start one thing, let's say loading the dishwasher. Then I would remember that I forgot to take the chicken out of the freezer to thaw for dinner. Then I would see my phone light up with a message, and then maybe one of my kids, they start fighting with each other. And suddenly it's an hour later and the dishwasher door is still open. It hasn't been loaded, and I can't even remember what I was doing. Does this sound familiar? It's whenever I had moments like these where I was thinking, wait, this cannot actually be helpful. It cannot be working. There is no way. I wasn't finishing anything, and I was constantly feeling flustered, scattered, and just stressed. So let's talk about what is actually happening in your brain when you are multitasking. Our brains are made to, or they're built really to just focus on one thing at a time. So when we're trying to do a bunch of stuff that needs our attention, like making lunch while answering messages, while also keeping an eye on our kids, our brains are not doing it all at once. What they're actually doing is switching back and forth between whatever task we're focusing on really, really quickly. And so every time our brain has to switch back and forth, we lose a little bit of brain power because it's using up so much trying to keep up with the tasks that we're switching back and forth between. That's why you'll get to the end of the day and you'll think like, wait, wait a second, what did I even do today? And it's likely that you did a ton of stuff. It's just that your brain was all over the place and really couldn't focus on what you were doing at one time. So that really foggy, like frazzled feeling, that is actually the feeling of stress from mental overload. So research shows that we are up to 40% slower when we're multitasking. We're also less able to filter important information from distractions, and we are way more likely to feel overwhelmed, scattered, and, you guessed it, stressed out when we are trying to multitask. So if you've been thinking, why is it 10 a.m. and my brain is just completely foggy? Why do I feel so mentally fatigued? Why am I exhausted? This could be a big reason why. And then we also have to factor in decision fatigue. This is something I've talked about with different episodes because it's something that I have struggled with a lot. And especially if you're really struggling, if you're not feeling well, if you're struggling with any kind of chronic illness, you might be battling brain fog. And so adding decision fatigue on top of that can feel very overwhelming. And so this is another major source of stress whenever we may be really struggling with decision fatigue, but we don't even really notice it. So let's say from the moment that we wake up, we're hit with a bunch of different choices. What are we supposed to make for breakfast? Which leggings are clean? What clothes are we going to lay out for our kids? Are we going to exercise this morning or not? If we are going to exercise, where are we going to do it? What are we going to do? What are we going to wear? Should we go ahead and work now or work later? Should we answer that text or do it later? Maybe our kids are fighting. How do we handle that? All of these different decisions are coming at us one time and they are overwhelming our brain and also our body. A lot of times I personally can feel like a physical response whenever I'm really struggling with mental overwhelm and with just decision fatigue. So every little decision that we have to make, it's going to drain our mental energy. And when we're already juggling too much, those constant micro decisions that we have to make every single day, they start to feel like pressure. And that's how I would describe it. It feels like pressure just building up in my body. So then you add in maybe you didn't sleep well the night before, or you were hungry and you skipped breakfast, or maybe it's just this guilt of not doing something that you really wanted to do with your kids, or just feeling like you're not doing enough. Adding all that in together with also adding in decision fatigue, it's going to be a recipe for feeling maxed out and just mentally and emotionally overwhelmed. So that's what I like to call invisible stress, because it's the kind that we can't really put our finger on, but it's something that steals our peace, and it's something that we can it's like this low lying, like I said, constant pressure. So another thing we want to look at is the hyperactive hive mind. And this is a term from the author and computer scientist Cal Newport, and he calls our modern lives the hyperactive hive mind. And it's this constant stream of notifications, text messages, group text, social media pings, emails, mental to-do lists. And so when we have all those going on constantly throughout the day, it is no wonder that we cannot focus and we cannot feel calm. Our brains are constantly overstimulated and overwhelmed. And here's the thing, stress builds whenever we don't ever get a break from it. Whenever we're constantly having that input, the stress is just going to continue to build and build in our body. Kind of like I said I think of it almost like a balloon where like you're adding air and like the pressure just builds up in the body. And that's how it feels to me whenever I'm really not managing my stress well. So just like our bodies are going to need a rest after exercise, our minds also need a rest too. Mental stillness is not optional. It's something that we really have to build into our day just for our own sanity. So you might be thinking, okay, I can see that I'm multitasking and it's not really doing me any favors. I can see that it's actually adding into the decision fatigue that I feel every single day. And then you might even be listening to me talk about that hyperactive hive mind, and you're realizing that those pings, the trying to multitask by also dealing with our phones, dealing with the constant notifications that are interrupting us while we're doing other things. And that's the thing you really have to think about, is the fact that our phones can be such a huge pressure to multitask whenever basically everyone has unfettered access to us. So there are no restrictions. We don't limit the amount of notifications. We don't put our phone in like a focus or do not disturb mode. Then it's just going to add into the amount of pressure and stress that we're going to feel, and the need to feel like we have to multitask. Because for instance, if I'm in the middle of cooking dinner and someone texts me, I might not necessarily stop to answer them, but my focus has now shifted to, what do I want to say to them? When do I want to answer them? Do I do it now or do I wait? And so I am having to switch back and forth between my tasks. So these are things that we really just want to pay attention to. And, in between now and our next episode, really start to focus and notice, are you trying to multitask and is it working for you? Are you noticing yourself really experiencing decision fatigue? And in what areas are you noticing it? And then also look at how is your phone? How is the constant alerts? How is that playing into your life and into just overstimulating your body, and also just overstimulating your brain to the point where it's really impacting the way you can manage your stress. So we know that a lot of times multitasking can feel like the only way to keep up. I think that's a lie that I told myself for a long time. But if it's making you feel stressed out, tired, and unfocused, it's really just time to do things differently. So stay tuned for our next episode, which is going to be released on Wednesday. And I'm going to share some practical tips to help you to break free from the multitasking trap and to really just start to feel more focused and calm. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you back on Wednesday. Hey Mama, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to share this with a friend who is wanting to live more holistically without the overwhelm? Also, don't forget to head over to Apple Podcasts to leave me a review. It blesses and encourages me to know that this show is helping you. All right, friends, it's time for me to go work in the garden and make some homemade bone broth. I will see you back next week.